Hello, everybody, and welcome to Benivo Bites. It is Wednesday, and we've got an action-packed show for you today. Hello there to Mike Quigley, to John Krish from Q-Box Trunk Moves, from Mike Quigley and John Krish having their own conversation together, which is great. That's what we love. We love it when everyone's talking. We've got an amazing show for you today. We've got a great change maker. We've got Jill Johnson from BD, who you'll be meeting. She'll be talking about her charity. And we've got David Carmichael from CGI, who's going to be sharing with us a live case study of how technology can enhance the Global Mobility Program, or is enhancing the Global Mobility Program at CGI. So fabulous, fabulous show lined up for you today. Now, you'll know how it works. Join in the conversation, write in the comments box. Tell us how it's going, where you are, everything that's going on in your life. And just share, and let's just have that conversation out there. People are coming from all over the world. I'm just seeing the numbers rising as people are coming up, which is just so, so exciting. And we've got some great things lined up for you over the next few days and weeks. We've got tomorrow a show. We've got a very special webinar, which is on cybersecurity. We've been promising this for a couple of weeks. It's our corporate-only webinar on cybersecurity in global mobility. I'll be saying a bit more about that in a while, but just you do not want to miss this event tomorrow. And then talking of events, next week we have got the most amazing show for you lined up. Next week on the show, we've got Peter Clark, who is the CEO of Global Mobility at PwC. We've already had over 1,000 people register for this show. So it's going to be an absolute awesome show. And this will be your opportunity to ask any questions you have of PwC's Peter Clark, and to find out what is going on, what their plans are, what the whole backstory to the deal was. It's going to be a fascinating, fascinating show. I'm really, really looking forward to it. One thing we do try and do every week on this show is we do try and just share some breaking news. What's happened in the wonderful world of global mobility in the last 7 days. So without further ado, let me just share with you our breaking news. So there you have it, all the news that we've seen in the world of global mobility in the last 7 days. And congratulations to everybody who's announced a promotion or a new move, a new job move. Congratulations to all of you. Fabulous news. The nice thing about this show, apart from the fact we have great content, is you can also get CPE credits. So if you're interested and you need CPE credits, these are they for this week. So we have CPE credits from Worldwide ERC, and many thanks to Lynn Shotwell and the team for that. And then we also have CPE credits from HRCI and from SHRM, and many thanks to Lisa Fontana and her colleagues at Rocket Mortgage for organising those credits for us. So, as I said, loads and loads of credits, whatever credits you want, we've got them for you. But I know one thing everybody loves each week is to get an immigration update. So I'm absolutely delighted to say that, as ever, we have got the great Julia Onslow-Cole with us to be giving us this week's immigration update. So let's bring Julia on stage. Hey Julia, how are you doing?
Hi, very well, thank you.
Good. And where in the world are you this week?
I'm actually in the Maldives. I'm on holidays.
I am so jealous. You're on holiday in the Maldives?
Yeah.
I'm so jealous. I have to tell the audience actually that that they're actually lucky to have me this week because I'm currently positive for coronavirus. So whilst you're sunning yourself in the Maldives, I'm in my bed most of the day. But anyway, I'm here. You're there, and tell us about immigration news. Where are we going in the world today? What are we going to talk about today?
Well, today we're going to talk about posted worker notifications. And I just wanted to say a huge thank you to Anna Sophia Walsh and also Yo Antons. And Yo has actually been dealing with the government on this issue because we have some breaking news, which is really good for business about posted worker notifications. But first of all, I thought I'd just start off and just explain exactly what the issue is. And it is a very complicated issue. And for those who are listening in who are actually immigration lawyers and really understand it very well, apologies. But a posted worker is an employee who's been sent by their employer to carry out a service in an EU member state on a temporary basis. So this includes short-term and business travellers of any nationality, including EU nationals. And the whole idea behind it is that posted workers shouldn't be treated less favourably than the nationals of the host EU member state in terms of labour or remuneration. And while it's there to protect them, it also seeks to prevent those workers undercutting local labour forces. So to monitor and control this, the compliance rules are that companies are supposed to notify the host country of the posted workers prior to the start of their employment and retain certain employment-related documents. So it sounds quite simple, but in practice, it is actually a nightmare for business. And that's because there's no standardized format for posted worker compliance across the 30 countries, the 27 in the EU and the extra ones for the EEA. And so the sort of issues that businesses have are, first of all, the assessment complexity. So each country has its own individual requirements to assess whether a notification is needed. And each country has completely different rules. Some have special rules for different sectors. And there's varied notification requirements. And sometimes these vary not just from country to country, but actually in countries. So Spain has 19 different regional authorities, each one with a different notification requirement. And the other thing is that these apply to business visitors and EU nationals. And that's someone that's usually not on the radar of businesses. So the outlier impact is really huge. And then as well as immigration, there's social security and labor law issues. And the other thing is there's increased enforcement. And when smart borders come in later on in the year, that's just going to get worse. And there's very high fees levied for non-compliance. So businesses are very frustrated with this, the complexity of all of this, and they're really exasperated about having to follow this process in all these different countries. And sometimes this means that companies actually don't want to notify because they're frightened of coming on to the authorities' radar and triggering inspections, which can be really intrusive. But obviously, then they potentially face these penalties, which can be huge, up to about 30,000 euros in some countries, and criminal liability. So companies can't avoid the compliance, and posted worker rules aren't going to disappear. One of the things the European Commission has done has brought infringement proceedings against 24 member states because they've said that the way that they've implemented the posted worker rules are disproportionate to the aims of the legislation. But the breaking news, which is the point of what I wanted to really get to today, is the fact that the European Commission has announced its plans to develop this EU-wide multilingual common e-declaration form, which will really simplify the process, and they're hoping to bring it in at Q3-4 of this year. So this new notification will be voluntary, so EU member states have a choice to follow the new form, and they're aiming to have a help desk functionality hosted by the European Labour Authority. So this is still in the drafting phase, and as I said, Jo Antons and colleagues from Fragment and lots of other people have been involved in the consultations, but it's a really, really good news story for business, and it will really simplify things. So I think it's something that businesses have a lot of problem with, and they should be really pleased about this.
Well, that's wonderful news. That's really, really fascinating news. And do enjoy your holiday, Julia. I think everyone's wishing you a great holiday. Lots of snorkeling and fish or whatever else you're doing. Yeah. Okay, that's wonderful news, and as I said, have a lovely holiday. What we're going to do now is we're going to bring on our ChangeMaker. I'm delighted to say we've got with us Jill Johnson from BD Group, and she's going to be talking about her charity that she supports. So without further ado, let's meet today's ChangeMaker. Jill, how are you doing?
Ryan, thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Well, and thank you for being a change maker. Tell me, do you like being a change maker?
You know what? It's super cool. I get to work with you and so many other leading edge mobility specialists. So it's a lot of fun, and I love always learning things new and trying to push the envelope in mobility.
Okay. So I know we were talking earlier, mobility is in your blood. You've lived in a lot of places. Tell us a bit about yourself and where you've lived in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Southern California, typical beach kid, you know, spending my summers at the beach, but also, you know, fortunate to live in such a multicultural environment, studying international relations and poli-sci in undergrad. I got the travel bug and lived in many different places, including Europe, Tokyo, Paris, New York, Houston, San Francisco, you name it. I somehow made a stop along the way. And now I am in Phoenix, Arizona, of all places.
Okay. And you're with BD, which is a medical devices company. Yeah. I believe you invented the syringe. Well, not you personally, but
yeah, I mean, for those
who invented the syringe back in the day.
Right. For those of you who aren't familiar with BD, I mean, we were founded in 1897, so 125 years old. As you said, invented the syringe. And a couple of fun facts about BD is that we have supplied over 1 billion syringes in the fight against COVID, and we have 2 billion more on order, so not a small impact. Voted as one of America's most just companies in terms of ESG, and most recently featured on the cover of Science magazine for our work in flow cytometry. So check it out.
I will. I must admit, I don't know what cytometry is, but I'm going to learn it. I'm going to find out, and I shall be an expert by the next time we get together. And we will get you back onto the show at another time to talk more about the BD program. But let's just talk about ChangeMakers. And the charity you support is Mercy Ships. Tell me a bit about Mercy Ships and why you support them and what they do.
Yeah, so, as part of our social investing program, I learned about Mercy Ships many years ago and was really touched by the work that they do. Basically, they outfit floating hospitals that go into the developed world, and they're completely staffed by medical volunteers from all over the world. So doctors, nurses, other medical specialists. And they are able to bring state-of-the-art technology, surgeries to places that just don't have a lot of access. They do fantastic work, and they're able to provide the full spectrum of healthcare, from very technical surgeries to women's health, to mental health, you name it. They're able to provide it, and so they're doing just fantastic work. And it's also kind of cool because there's a connection to BD. I mean, we have provided a lot of the equipment and funding that go towards their most recent ship. So,
well, that's just amazing stuff that they're doing. And by the way, if anybody wants to be a change maker, I'm afraid it's only open to corporates. But if you do want to be a change maker, then do message either me or any of the Benivo team, and we'll see whether we can get you on board. The more the merrier. We've got about 50 or so, and we want to get to about 100. So if you want to be a change maker, then do come. And and I know from your point of view, Jill, you get to take part in meetings with other people and to share thoughts about what's going on, all sort of Vegas rules.
No, it's an awesome opportunity just to, be with peers, learn what they're doing, and hopefully take some of those learnings and apply them to what I do.
Cool. Okay, so Jill, thank you so much for being on the show. What we're going to do now is we're going to bring on our producer Tally just to give us a little bit of update about other things that are going on in the world of mobility and in the world of technology. So let me just bring Tally onto the show, and we'll say goodbye to you, Jill.
Bye.
Hi, Brian. How are you?
I'm
good. Despite the COVID, you look great.
Good-ish, to be honest. Good-ish. I'm coping. I think today's the best I can say. Anyway, Tally, what do you tell us about?
You look good. Today, I want to go back to cybersecurity. So you remember the survey that we passed through our colleagues and clients, and a big thank you to all of you guys in the audience that contributed to the survey. Anyway, one of the most astounding findings of the survey was that 40%, Brian, 40% of the global mobility corporates that completed the survey already experienced a data breach.
Wow,
so this is a huge number.
40% had already experienced a data breach. That is extraordinary.
Imagine the cost and the embarrassment that such a breach can cause. So this is why today I want to remind everyone that today is the last chance to sign into our cybersecurity event that is happening tomorrow. In this event, we're going to share Benivo's new technology solutions for combating and amending such breaches. This is really, really important, and I really encourage everyone to sign in. I will send the links to the event in the comments. And I want to also give a heads up to another event that is coming next week. And there we're gonna put the Benivo platform to the challenge. So we're gonna compare it to other common platforms, and how well it's going to perform. I think I already know, but I always love a good challenge.
Okay.
So
that sounds fun. Okay, and that's in a week's time.
So I'm going to go back to the green room to post all the links to these two events and to read also your comments. So keep sending them. It's wonderful to see you from the back room.
Okay, thank you so much for everything you do, Tally. So you're going to go backstage. I'm going to bring on David Carmichael, who's going to be talking about CGI and everything that he is doing with Benivo at CGI. So I'll bring on some of the Benivo folks in a minute. I'm going to start off with David Carmichael. So you know how it works, everybody. Hit the heart, hit the like, hit the applause. He's giving you his time. So let's give him a good old-fashioned welcome as we bring David Carmichael onto the stage. David, hi, great to see you. And thanks for coming onto the show. And we're going to move on in a bit to find out a bit about the technology that you use. And in fact, as ever, being Benivo Bites, we're going to do a live demo as well. But let's just start off finding out a bit about you, David. Tell us, people get into mobility in all sorts of strange ways.
Yeah.
Tax, HR, relo, they fall into it. But your way is a bit more unusual than most. So tell us about your early career.
Yeah, it probably is. It probably is one of the more unusual. So I left school fairly young, 16. Didn't at the time really want to continue education and went straight into the military. So went into the Royal Navy. It feels like a lifetime ago. It probably was. And quickly went into the submarine service. So if you think kind of Red October type stuff, it was a bit like that. It was a fascinating time to be in the submarines, to be honest.
So what's the longest time you've spent underwater?
I think for the type of submarines I was on, it was probably a 6-week period. But then you come up surface and then dive again. But like I said, a lifetime ago. But it was a great experience.
I take it you don't suffer from claustrophobia.
No, but I wouldn't want to do it now at my age. put it that way. But wouldn't want that experience again. But no claustrophobia. So I left the Navy in the early 90s, close to the mid 90s. Went into the UK Foreign Office for a while, but then an opportunity came up to go to Egypt to work with a peacekeeping mission, not far from the Israeli border. So it was in the Sinai Desert. So I literally went from submarines to the desert, which was fair contrast, but another great experience. And I planned to stay there for 2 years. Ended up being there for 6. Met my wife there. My oldest son was born there. And then I came back to the UK in 2000 and joined PwC. So I joined PwC in their mobility outsourcing function, as it was at the time.
In England?
Yeah, in the UK, in London. So for those anybody with experience of PwC, it was in the Plumtree Court building, which was barely standing. I think they were really struggling to keep the building together, and it's now gone and been redeveloped. But that was another, PwC, and the couple of years I spent there was another great experience.
Great firm, PwC, and of course we've got the CEO of PwC Global Mobility Services, Peter Clark, on the show next week. So we'll give them a plug and all fair play to them for taking first mover advantage in terms of what they're doing, and we wish them all the best for the future. But David, I must say, I know I've made the joke before, but is that there are all sorts of global mobility professionals who work overseas, I think you're probably the only global mobility professional I've ever met who's worked underseas.
Yeah, possibly. I haven't met anybody else yet, not so far.
I'm going to say, so you are quite unique. So anyway, you're now with CGI, which, as I understand it, has got about 80,000 employees and is one of the leading IT and management consultancies in the world. Tell us a bit about CGI and most particularly the mobility program there.
Yeah, so you're right. So CGI, for those not familiar, so we're founded in 1976, IT and business consulting services. And you're right, the global population of members, so we refer to our employees as members of CGI, is now about 80,000. It's been a fantastic company to work for, to be honest. I started my time at CGI, in fact, with Logica, which was UK headquartered. And then, of course, with the acquisition of Logica by CGI, that the headquarters shifted out of the UK to Montreal. In terms of the mobility program, in some respects, it's the volume, the movement, etc., is quite traditional. We as an IT service company with a significant presence in India, we move a lot of our Indian members into other geographies, etc. So that's quite traditional. It's common within the IT industry. And what we've seen over the years is it's been a shift away from very traditional assignments, and that pressure on traditional assignments has increased more recently to an increase in, for example, international hiring, and potentially a shift away from, again, those traditional assignments to permanent transfers.
And what sort of volumes are we talking about?
So pre-pandemic, you could be looking at sort of 1,500, 2,000 transactions a year. So people moving from somewhere to somewhere, new assignments, extensions, repatriations, etc. But again, more traditional assignments. But international hiring has increased significantly. Real pressure, I think, with the Great Resignation, right? The war on talent. And the inability of companies, or the pressure on companies to try and move people because of the border pressures with the pandemic, the need for talent hasn't gone away. So we as an organization have had to look at international hiring to compensate for the fact that moving our members within the CGI has become much more difficult. Okay,
and I know one of the phrases that is used is this whole concept of digitalization. And the idea is to sort of take things forward with digitalization. What does digitalization mean to you?
So in the context of global mobility, and specific to the Benivo product, what we've tried to do is, I think, take repeatable transactions, repeatable items that you could digitalize and automate that. But at the same time, not detracting from the experience that our members have, when they're working through the relocation process, the assignment process. So making the experience better for the moving individuals, but using automation and digital media to make that more successful. And many of the people that we're moving today are more reliant on phones, technology, apps, etc. And I think when we first went into the arrangement with Benivo, we realized that the people wanted all of the benefits of the apps, the phones, etc. But in the context of mobility, where it was often quite traditional, talking to people, having briefings around work permits, briefings around tax, briefings around relocation, physically meeting people to find a house, etc. We thought that we could add a digital solution to those kind of problems.
Okay, and I mean, maybe give me an idea of what sort of a before and after would have looked like.
In terms of an assignee relocation.
Yeah, in terms of the program, yeah, absolutely. In
the past, pre-Benivo would have been quite traditional. So it would have been you're moving from A to B, you've accepted the assignment, you're moving with your family, you get a traditional relocation solution provider to help you find a house, to tell you where to put your kids into school. Going way back, we would do elements of airport pickup, real traditional stuff. This is how you find a house. This is the accommodation we're going to put you into. This is how we'll get you from the airport, to where you need to be. Here's the hotel that we're booking on your behalf, etc. So again, quite traditional.
Whereas your employees are obviously going to be quite digitally literate, so they're not of a generation or a demographic that is saying, "Please, can you do this for me?" They're saying, "I want to do it now on my phone."
Yeah, exactly right. And I think we were almost not listening to that feedback, and probably in reality, there wasn't a solution out there to respond to the needs. I don't think so. We were almost forcing people into this very traditional relocation model, which for many companies, I guess, has a place. But we were getting feedback that maybe there was a different way to do things. And then we met Nitsan, had a discussion, and it progressed pretty quickly from there.
Okay. And what's it been like? I mean, what's been the uptake and the feedback from the employees, and indeed from the HR business partners?
So I mean, the uptake is great, right? So the product is developed since we first deployed it. Perhaps unusually, what we've done with the Benivo products is we've put it kind of front and center. Rather than say Benivo is a product that supplements the relocation program, we've said Benivo is the relocation support solution for CGI. If you're moving from A to B, we're going to help you find a house, get to know the area you're moving to. We're going to give you support to get your kids into school. We'll give you maybe some ideas on how to get your spouse working if the spouse chooses to work, etc. Again, that would have been quite traditionally managed in the past. Now we're saying, here's a digital platform. You take more control of your own move.
Okay. I mean, you've mentioned that the platform is now front and center. Maybe I'll quickly bring in Nitsan and Mark Grumet from Benivo just to talk through their perspectives of that. So if I bring in Nitsan and Mark. So Nitsan, from your perspective, David was talking about putting the platform front and center. Can you say a bit more about that?
Yeah, I think, and as David said, this was an opportunity for us to develop the program and develop our solution based on how we saw CGI using it, learning so much from them in the years of working together to be able then to upgrade the solution and roll it out to everyone. And that, some of those solutions were regarding vendor onboarding, right? So things we might have not done before we worked with CGI, and then we realized that we could add value there and become the central point, right? So if Benivo a few years ago was more of a benefit, with what we've become is a tool that is actually delivering value not only to the employees, but also to the mobility team, and being able to provide kind of an end-to-end solution.
And David, do you find this is now allowing employees to take more control of their own moves?
Yeah, I mean, they are taking more control. Yeah. Again, I think very specifically back to, say, our housing model. In the past, in many of the locations that we were deploying members, we would say, some years ago, we would say, this is the house that you're going to live in that we've chosen for you for your assignment. It's near to the office, it's great, etc. And they wouldn't be given a choice. Now we're saying, here's a product where you can choose your housing, and these are the benefits of the area that you choose to live in, or the downsides of the area that you choose to live in. So there are still parameters in there. We're covering off, for example, member duty of care. We're guiding them, because people are not going to be familiar with the area that they want to live in. So we're giving them the information to make their own choices.
And Mark, tell us a bit about your role on with CGI and what you do, and also maybe say to what extent you've seen evidence of employees taking more control of the situation for themselves.
I am the client success manager for the CGI account, and I have been since we started working with CGI. So I've seen quite of an evolution there. And as both Nitsan and David were referring to before, it's been quite impressive to see, how far we've gone in just automating some of the processes that have already been discussed, and we're going to discuss a bit later, and also in just how much of an impact we've done. We'll show you guys in a bit in the actual demo, but it's been a great journey so far.
Yeah, we're going to get into a demo just in a minute, but one question I always hear when I'm talking to mobility directors is, yes, it's great to improve employee experience, but what about cost savings? At the end of the day, the businesses tend to appreciate the dollars as well. So, I mean, David, from your point of view, to what extent has there been cost savings that have been delivered at the same time as, obviously, I suppose, employee experience has been enhanced?
So one of the important things to highlight for an IT service company, right, is that majority of the members that we're moving are moving to clients. So we want to support the members 100%. But if we add services, that potentially increases the cost. And if we increase the cost to the point that the move is not competitive against our peers, etc., then we may not end up moving people. So cost is paramount. We have to contain the cost. And the Benivo model for us has substantially reduced the prices. We're looking at some scenarios where the cost today is 1/3 of what it would have been in a very traditional relocation model.
Okay, and I think we're going to get into the demo pretty much now, actually. I think that would be a good time to do it. There's just one question that I saw came in from John Raisin of Santa Fe. He said, what's the profile of the majority of the moves, projects or strategic moves, and are international hires across the spectrum? And indeed, I think actually one of the things that's come out of this is you've actually expanded it as well to new populations as well.
Yeah, I mean, the majority of the members we're moving are project-based, and mix of demographics, so short-term, long-term, etc. But we're also using the product for permanent transfers, and in volume locations, we're using it for international hires. There's quite an exciting initiative underway at the moment, maybe one that we can dig into some detail on in the future, but we're using the product, or plan to use the product, for an initiative that we're working on with Talent Beyond Boundaries, where we'll soon be looking to hire refugees. And when we hire those refugees and they are first moving, we'll use the Benivo product to support that relocation.
Okay, that's amazing, and I'm a great fan of Talent Beyond Boundaries. Indeed, Marina Brizar has been on the show, and a big shout out to her and all the work that amazing charity does. But let's now, I want to get into showing a demo, because we always do a demo on Benivo Bites. Mark, I think we need you to share your screen, and we can have a demo. I think first of all, we're going to talk about the end-to-end experience, aren't we?
Yes, we are. Is the screen coming out?
It is now,
okay.
Absolutely.
Excellent. So indeed, we are going to start from the mobility management platform, and then we're going to transition over to what the assignee will see, and Nitsan will lead on that particular part. I will pass over the torch then. So with the mobility management platform now, where a case would be initiated once the assignment has been approved, and touching on the process automation part, I'm going to leverage one use case to demonstrate 3 processes that we have automated for David's team. So the use case that I'm going to use is letters of assignment. So the document that assignees need to sign once the assignment is approved. I populated these fields in advance just to make good use of time, but the mobility manager would essentially just input all of the data here, which again would be used for the population of the letter. So before Benivo, the assignment letter templates needed to be populated manually. This is quite laborious to copy paste all of this data in. There's terms and conditions which apply if certain benefits are authorized, and so forth. So that part did take quite a lot of time. With Benivo, the CGI team inputs the details in here. I'll click on next. I move forward. Actually, I think I've been on this screen for too long. Hang on. I was listening you talking there, and I populated this a while ago. Hang on. Actually, let me just stop sharing for a minute and come back.
Logging you out for a second. So,
yes.
And I think, right, and the interesting thing about that concept and the work that Mark has done with the team, we work with a large team at CGI and a very, very strong partnership and a very honest also partnership where they can share with us some of the challenges they have and give us the freedom to kind of come up with solutions and work with them to solve them. David, I see you're smiling.
Yeah, but that's probably important to highlight. In the relationship that we've got, I think the thing that we've really liked is that when we've had a challenge, we've been able to come to you to get a solution to that challenge. And sometimes we've just mentioned things in passing without even asking you to do anything in particular. And Mark, for example, will present a solution for a problem that we weren't even really expecting you to try and address. That's been really positive.
Yeah, and then a great opportunity. I know that a few of the CGI team members are watching, so to thank them for the partnership and for the work doing together. I think one of those things that happens often is that Mark will work with the team to identify processes where digitalization can put into place in order to reduce manual work, ideally reduce the number of checks, reduce the mistakes that need to happen, and deliver more consistency.
So Mark, shall I share your screen now?
Yes, I'm back on.
Okay.
And,
there we are. I've shared your screen again.
Excellent.
So what we're doing here is generating an assignment letter. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct. So what we're doing here is we are inputting a few values that are going to generate the actual assignment letter. So just going to finish that off.
It's always a little bit of a challenge to do a demo of a real platform without disclosing any PII, personal identifier information, while making sure it can maintain. So first, again, thank you for CGI for allowing us to share the platform, and thanks, Mark, for doing all the work behind the scenes, so none of the sensitive data will be shared.
No worries at all. So what the team will do now is they will simply tell the system which benefits are being initiated. So I'm just randomly selecting some, so that once I generate the assignment letter, I can show it to you. So I just want to get to the point where I generate the letter of assignment. I'm going to click on next. And I'm going to get to the point where I'm able to talk to you about process 2 that we have automated for the CGI team, which is the signature of the document. So right now, I just showed you how the document is generated. Again, just to recap, the CGI team will input a few values, which will dynamically generate the letter of assignment along with the right terms and conditions and so forth. And now we're going to go forward to the actual signature of the document. So with the previous solution, the Global Mobility team needed to send the document for signature to each stakeholder who had to download, sign, and send it back. Then the GM team needed to send the document to the next stakeholder, and so on. How have we improved that process? Well, with the current solution, we use automated workflows to send the document to each stakeholder automatically. So now I've clicked on initiated. What will have happened is the first signer, which is the host manager, will get an order to sign, I've added myself as a manager, would you believe? So that I get the document to show you here. So I'll click on review the document.
So that's an email you just received now, right? So that's the workflow.
Right now.
So what we've done is in real time, we've actually initiated an assignment. It was that easy.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to click on I agree, continue. And what I'm going to see here is all of the data just for the everyone to know. I've used test data. You saw me input everything, so we're not showing any actual employee data in case somebody is wondering. And all of the data is here. Again, I just inputted, and some things here that I'm going to show you. For example, what the provisions for the assignment package are, flexible provisions, and so forth. All of that's been generated on the spot, along with the terms and conditions for only the things that I've initiated. So immigration compliance travel document, relocation company support, transport to host country. That's only showing because I clicked on initiate that on this spot. That's how we dynamically do that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on next, sign, adopt and sign, finish, and off it goes to the next signer of the flow, which is the employee, which takes me to process 3. Finally, we have automated the monitoring of where the signature flow stands. So with the previous solution, GM had to follow up with each signer manually. And with the solution I just showed you now, automated reminders are sent to the signers that have not completed the action. And the mobility team can simply track the status. Once all of the signers have completed the process, all stakeholders get a copy of the document. So with letter of assignment, just showed how we've automated these 3 processes, which were quite laborious for the CGI team before Benivo.
Okay, so thank you. I mean, that's shown how easy it is to just create an assignment letter. I mean, obviously, there's loads more to this. Nitsan, are there other areas that you wanted to talk about now to do with the employee experience, for example?
Yeah, so we've looked so far how it on the platform from the mobility manager point of view. Let's look at that end-to-end experience from the employee side. And as the employee, I'm now logged in, the assignee, the member at CGI, I'm logged into the platform and I can see the main things I can do, which are actions, everything I need to do in my relocation, when do I need to do it, and also how do I get it done. I get all the information about destination, such as what David discussed before about the housing, where how I can book my temporary housing, I can find my permanent place to live, areas that are popular with colleagues who move to the same area, as well as a review of my lease and support with that. As housing is one example, and then all the areas of relocation, so shipping and culture training, and even an entire platform for spouse support that's been very popular with CGI members. And finally, there's also the money. So I'll also touch about access to money, allowances, and pay later. But let's look at some of those actions. And for those who've seen demos of the platform of Benivo before, I'm not going to go and show things we looked under settling in and things the employee need to do. I want to focus more on the company-specific actions to CGI. And what the team have done here is they took a manual process, a manual brief, as David mentioned before, and we've automated that. So instead of repeating the same information over and over again on the phone to communicate to that employee, it's available for the employee on a self-serve approach. So they can go, they can click, and at the end, they need to confirm that they have accepted the terms here and completed that agreement. That provides, first, it reduces the amount of manual work and then allow the consultant to do more consulting rather than administration. Second, it also improved the tracking. So we can see what the members have signed, what the employees have completed, and whatnot. And third, it's consistency. we can be sure that there's not going to be those comments of, oh, but on the phone I was told that, and someone told me this, and I know that a few people watching it are now smiling because that they've experienced that with assignees in the past. But we provide that level of consistency here. Now, those actions also have workflows in them. So, for example, there is, if I need to sign one of the policies, I can go through that. There is a digital brief that tells me why is this policy important, and then I can go, everything is pre-populated for me with the information, and I can go and I can just sign it digitally on the platform. No need to download, sign, print, save, upload, all of that. Everything is digitally and protected. So that works extremely well in terms of automating the process. I can see the document, everything is pre-populated. We never ask for the same information more than once, and I can just sign it here. Now, looking at another area of the platform, around money delivery, pay later is one of the benefits that CGI is leveraging on the platform, and that's the ability to get a cash advance from Benivo to the employee that can be delivered either in the home currency, on the host currency, even before they have a bank account. We can also help them to set up this bank account, and the funds are delivered between 0 to 1 working days, and the employees repaid in monthly installments after the first salary is paid. A big benefit, and especially as David talked before, when the program got expanded, right, to new hires and to populations that were not supported before, this became a very strong tool to improve diversity and inclusion with these populations, reduce the or improve social mobility, and reduce the issues with lack of finance or funds available for employees. The last area I want to show here as part of this section of the employee view is the end-to-end solution where also vendors are involved, right? So when additional services, so the experience on Benivo is fully customizable, and some employees will receive some services, others will receive others. And here on this platform, I can go into my benefits section and I can see which services are available for me, what is available under each of these services, and these services are provided by a service provider, so the immigration provider or the or DSP shipping provider, etc. They are all being initiated by Benivo, or the majority is being initiated by Benivo, and then we can also track on the SLA delivery. So, for example, if I'm looking here on the status of the service of the school search, I get that pizza delivery experience, and I can see at every moment what's the status of delivery, what's the next step, how long it's going to take, and again, reducing the number of questions that the employee will have, reducing the concerns they have. And on the back of that, of course, creating also monitoring tools to identify when something it doesn't work according to the expected SLAs, and identify that in real time. One of the additional benefits, and that's related to the cybersecurity, and that we also take care of the cybersecurity. So we reduce the risk of a data breach by one of these downstream vendors by 97%, which is capabilities we've added recently. And as I said, we'll share more details on the corporate-only session tomorrow. Similarly, if I want to talk with one of my contacts, I can see all my key contacts here on one place. I can, in one click, contact them, schedule a call back, or send them a message. Everything is available for me. I can be proactive, and I can also get the support of the Benivo team that is available for me on chat, on callback, and by email. That's kind of giving a little bit of a taste of how the experience is from the employee point of view.
Okay, that's really helpful. And one thing we started talking about, David, was you said earlier that it led to a lot of process efficiencies. Is that something you've been able to calculate in terms of a monetary sum, the level of process efficiencies that you've managed to generate? or in a time sense?
Yeah, I think that's hard to judge because so much has changed since we first implemented the Benivo model. There's been a pandemic, if no one's noticed. Look up on the news; it's still out there. But I think what's happened is, we went into the Benivo relationship at a time when, pre-pandemic, traditional assignments, etc. Volumes were at pre-pandemic levels, and then the pandemic comes along. The traditional assignment volumes have dropped, but that's been offset by the need to permanently transfer. International hiring volume has increased. We started the initiative on the refugee program, etc., all using the Benivo program. So while one area of the program has potentially reduced, others have increased. So I think it's hard to measure in dollar terms those process efficiencies.
Yeah, but they're fairly substantial, I believe, from the conversations we were having. And what about the time? Any idea how much time has been saved by the people managing the process?
Yeah, I'd probably look to some of the colleagues on the call from CGI, to be honest. I think Praveen is on, and it's Praveen and his team that have done a fantastic job working with Mark to implement some of these changes. And yeah, he would be better placed to say where those efficiencies have come in. But if you take the assignment letter example, where we had a template, you have to manually populate the template, attach the template to an email, send it out, get it signed, get it back, etc. And now that's been automated. That saves time. It's more efficient. And it's probably a better experience for the person who's receiving the letter, than receiving it as they do today versus getting an attachment, an email that they have to print, sign, and send back.
Okay, and in our last few minutes, maybe Nitzan, you could say a little bit about the management reporting that is there, and I think there's an immigration dashboard as well. Maybe you could just tell us a bit about some of that.
Yeah, so some of the benefits of having all the data on a single platform is the ability to drive insights from that and use data in ways that perhaps were not available before. And those are, again, I'm going to talk a bit more in general rather than specific to CGI to make sure I'm not sharing any confidential information. But generally, what we do with this data when we are looking on vendor management, we can monitor the vendor's performance in terms of SLA delivery in the past. So for the first time, SLA delivery is done by an independent view rather than by the vendor, who normally is the one who's reporting on their SLAs. And then there is the ability to identify issues in real time, as well as use predictive analytics to forecast how long a process should look. And looking at that as one aspect of managing the data, the other area is the value of costs, right? Having all the costs on a single platform, and that is something that we will also demo in some of our upcoming shows, how vendors can submit their invoices on the platform. We can review those platform, automatically approve it. We also make those payments and then consolidate them all to a single invoice, again reducing the manual process that was needed there and providing something that is more efficient and allow for better control on the spend.
Okay, and in fact, in 2 weeks' time, we've got another live case study, and that's with Julia Onslow-Cole from GE, and she's going to be talking about how, and it's all very well documented publicly, GE is splitting into 4 business units and then into 3 separate listed companies, and how they've managed their mobility program. So they've managed their early career program through that whole process using the Benivo technology. So some pretty cool stuff coming up. And as I said again, next week on The View from the Top, I'm delighted to say that we've got Peter Clark from PwC talking about everything that's going on with PwC Global Mobility. So let me just bring on into the show our ChangeMaker, Jill Johnson and Julia. And indeed, I shall bring back our producer. So the gang is all in town, and all that really remains is for me to say goodbye to everybody. It's been a fabulous show today. It's been great having you all tuning in. Julia, a particular thank you for breaking your holiday to being with us. Jill and David, thank you for your work as change makers and for being on the show. David, talking about the platform that we do with you, and for Nitzan and Mark for helping us out on the show today, and especially to Tally for her work behind the scenes as the show producer. So
and Ryan, you get well soon.
Thank you. I've survived. I tell you,
You
this
did.
time
Very well.
I was telling everybody it was going to be Plan B, and one of you was going to take control. But I seem to have got through it. So I have been triple vaccinated, probably with a BD syringe. So what goes around comes around. Anyway, thank you, everybody. Take care, and we'll see you all next week. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.